Healing minds, inspiring voices, living truth, making choices. This is your space. Just be you, authentically peculiar with Marcia. Welcome to a space where healing is real, where your voice matters and your truth is enough. With authentically peculiar. Season 5, the year of expansion, healing deeper, living louder, stepping fully into who you are. Authentically peculiar with Marcia.
Welcome back to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. While my guest needs no introduction because we are so connected, so connected in everything that we do, I'm going to take a moment and introduce my guest, Felice Martin, the Felice Martin, we have been connected, wow, now for about 4 years. Coming
Crazy.
into the industry, being speakers at various conferences, supporting one another in our endeavors. Today, our episode about reinventing yourself features an inspiring conversation between Felice and myself. Felice is an LPC, a CPCS, a neuroscience informed educator, an entrepreneur owning her own practice, and an advocate for resilience and emotional wellness. Together, we're going to explore the science behind resilience, emotional regulation, stress recovery, being an entrepreneur and a trauma informed leader, and how we regulate the nervous system as we begin to reinvent ourselves. She is a creator of NeuroWave for mental health professionals. She is passionate about helping people understand how their brain and nervous system influence their ability to heal, to adapt, and to thrive. And through her own journey of adversity, transformation, and leadership, she has dedicated her life to helping others break unhealthy cycles, reconnect with purpose, and create lives rooted in clarity, wellness, and emotional freedom. So if you've ever found yourself trying to navigate change, recover from burnout, or wonder how to reinvent yourself without losing who you are, this is the conversation for you. Felice, welcome back to Authentically Peculiar with Marcia.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's just like being at home, and
It's
I certainly appreciate this opportunity. I just admire you so much and your gift and your superpower and how you share that with the world. But one thing I do notice about you is that you've shared it with yourself first,
yes,
right?
yes,
And then you
yes.
give from that perspective. So I'm excited to speak on this topic today.
I'm excited to have you here. We were just together a couple of weeks ago having a adult play night, playing
Yes.
cards and board games and all of that, and it was so invigorating. And it reminded me of this topic today, of the importance of learning how to, go back and learn how to have fun and go back and play. So when you think about the phrase reinventing yourself, what does that personally say to you?
Mhm. When I think about that phrase, I think about it on two dimensions from two perspectives. The first
Mm-hmm.
one, when we think about reinventing, that is there was an invention and then we redid something. And so
Mm-hmm.
I believe a part of that, everything that we need is already inside of us, right?
Yes.
And so I like to think of reinventing of oneself as excavation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a diamond in the rough. There's a diamond
Mm-hmm.
there. And so the quality and the goal of life is to uncover
Yeah.
that. And so it looks like it's something that's reinvented. However, it's always been there.
It's always been there. And when you think about that, a lot of people get stuck in the old versions of themselves, being afraid to dig for that diamond. What do you think prevents people from embracing the change and getting to the diamond?
Yeah. And we already know it's fear.
Fear.
It's fear. And it could be fear of doing well, fear of going
Mm,
out of that expectation, fear of being different. It could be fear of succeeding. So there's a
mhm,
range of fear, and I think that that is what is important to individually understand. Why am I doing the things that
mm.
I'm doing? Okay, and
Yeah.
so even when we think about what keeps a person from doing that, that fear can be tapped into belonging. As human
Mm,
beings, we want to
mhm,
belong, right? We want
mhm.
to be a part of something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent point. That belonging piece. And so when you think about it, I'm gonna switch us just a little bit to neuroscience because I want us to bring the brain matter into how fear shows up and literally shapes our perspective. So when you think about this fear, and some people won't even name it as fear,
Right.
right? It's that fear. How does your brain respond to fear?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. The beautiful thing, I love the brain, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Yeah.
grateful to have had some wonderful teachers to talk to me and teach me about the brain. And so, what our brain is designed to for survival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, there's a we call it the amygdala, that is a threat part of our brain. And so
Mm-hmm.
basically with that, it's a little bit of it's so tiny, it's the size of an almond. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
little part of our brain that impacts how we move through life. And we're either going to fight, flight, or freeze. So we're going to either fight it off, we're going to run from it, or we're going to freeze. And then they have another term they call
The
fawn.
fawn. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. And so the thing is that I don't know why. I just know that it is.
Yeah.
So it's twofold. It's a survival mechanism, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's also a survival mechanism. So
Wow.
I'm surviving because I'm afraid. I'm surviving because I need to continue on, reproducing or re-engaging or being a part of something. But it's all that's the way our brain is designed, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that fear, that amygdala, is right next to what we call the hippocampus, and that's the memory part of our brain. I always call it the library. And so our
Mm.
experiences that we've had um, throughout life, we write a book about
Mm. That's so good. We write a
it.
book
Uh-huh.
that goes into the library of the
Mm-hmm.
hippocampus,
Mm-hmm.
and in the amygdala, it set up this stage protection and survival and saying, hey, here comes fear. They've checked this book out. So what are we going to do with it? And changing
Yeah.
how that looks, changing that perspective, because I assume I'm not the neuroscience. You are. So I assume that when we shift our perspective on fear, it shifts the movement of the amygdala saying, "Oh, now we're back in a safe zone." But is
Right.
that true? Is that the perspective?
Right. It's because it helps to calm it down. So the amygdala
Mm,
is there. Like if you were facing something, if it's a matter of life or death, we need that. Right? We
mm-hmm,
need
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
something to tell us that this fire is hot.
Yeah.
So what happens is that we can rewire. That's where that re comes in, that reinventing, that rewiring comes in. So we can look at the story and we can say, you know what? The last time I did a presentation, I was so afraid. I was just frozen. I couldn't speak. And I just thought that everybody was laughing at me and so forth and so
Mm-hmm,
on.
mm-hmm,
And so the next time you can say, you know what? Yep, I'm afraid. This thing is scary to me. And I will make a commitment to try it. I will do it. So then
mm-hmm.
that's where that reward comes in, and then I'm not going to do a whole lesson on the brain neurochemicals, but that's
Mm-hmm.
that reward system. The
Yeah.
reward system comes in and says, "Oh wow, this really felt good." right? And so that's
Yeah.
even from a therapeutic standpoint, that's where that exposure comes in, that exposure
Hmm.
therapy. I'm going to expose myself to this thing that causes me fear.
Wow. And such a beautiful thing, because when you talk about exposing yourself to the thing that caused you fear, that's aligning with nervous system regulation, becoming
Hmm.
familiar with, okay, well, it is a little scary that I'm about to go and do this, but it's not so scary where it takes me out because I've regained or reinvented myself. So if I'm hearing you correctly, reinventing yourself is more than just changing your hair color.
Oh,
It's
yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yes. Yes, I love it. It is. Keep going because that was good. It's more than the physical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's from the inside out. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember, you have that fear, you have that thing that created the fear. Whatever
Yeah.
that is, that fight, flight, or freeze, there's a story that's associated with that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
and then when you have that story that's associated with it, you have habits. You have a way
Yeah.
that you respond to that story. And so
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that when you look at the story, then you
Mm-hmm.
rewrite the story, because instead of shutting down and not engaging, you
Mm-hmm.
push through, you engage,
Mm-hmm.
you listen to, your body. I always tell people when they share stories, sometimes we can get so caught up in the book, we get so caught up in the story that we don't even know how we feel in the story.
Mm-hmm. And how would you encourage someone to start tapping into that awareness of, hey, this story is hurting?
Mm-hmm.
How do
Yes.
you encourage them to tap into that, or even some signs to look for as they're
Yes.
looking at this story hurts?
Exactly, exactly. And so that's when you listen to your nervous system. You've
Mm,
noticed what's going on. You notice, as you tell the story, is your heart beating fast? Are
mm-hmm,
your palms getting sweaty? Is your mouth getting dry? Are you
mm-hmm.
stuttering? Like, what are those signs? Are you starting to, like pick your fingers, or, what are you noticing? What are you doing? You know,
Yeah,
are you, and I
becoming
always say,
aware.
yeah, that's a part of
Mm-hmm,
really being aware. Because
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
when you stop and think about it, when you stop and think about it, everybody has a story.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so that story, when a person is talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can tell if they're reliving the story.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Because you
And
see it
so
in their face, you see it
you
in
see
their
it in their face.
breathing, you
Yes.
see it in that shifting and that movement. All of those are telltale signs to us as therapists.
Exactly, exactly. And so I encourage people to be mindful of what it is what they're noticing. So they start, and you
Mm,
can tell the breathing part. Like if
yeah.
somebody's telling me something, I'm like, okay, I'm listening to the story, but I'm not like, oh my God, and then what happened? And just
Mm-hmm,
all doing
mm-hmm.
that. I'm like, okay, so I can see it, and I'm like, tell me where you feeling it. Where are you feeling this story?
That is,
What do
I
you?
think, is a pivotal question when we ask the question, where are you feeling that in your body?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so amazing to me when I hear people say, I'm not feeling anything. Oh,
Mm,
but your body.
yes.
I saw your neck tense up. I saw your brow fold.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't feel that? Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's just normal. Is it normal?
Mm-hmm.
Or have you become so familiar with the responses that you don't realize that I need to reinvent this? I need to
Right.
rewrite this. And
Right.
yeah, that's major, because coming into an awareness of who you actually are
Hmm.
is vital if you are saying, I need to reinvent this person.
Yeah.
What happens when you have people who are like high achievers, when you have people who say, have this heavy mask on that
Mm.
needs to move into that reinvention? How do you help them to understand your brain functioning or shifting to get to the healing?
Yes, that is so good. And we see it all of the time,
Mhm.
especially in high achieving women, and high achieving people. There's a narrative, again, narrative. There's a book.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a book.
The library
There's,
stopped.
oh, yes, the library is
Mhm.
stocked. Okay, so you have all of that stuff in there. The library is stocked. So it's awareness. What story are you telling yourself?
Mm. Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
we can, as an outsider looking in, we can see it. And I can see it even personally. Those are things that I am committed to doing for myself. So really
Yeah.
saying, what story am I telling myself?
Mhm. Mhm. And being able to understand, is it the story that I'm telling myself, or is it a story that someone started in me that I picked up on and continued with the narrative? Which story is it?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because those stories have been established for us as well. And check this
Mm-hmm.
out. So, am I picking up this story? Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
noticing, I even say, well, whose voice are you hearing when you say this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying, you're in psychosis or
Hallucinating or
anything or hallucinate.
delusional. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
it, but I need you to listen because we can tell. You can tell when you're in tune with yourself. When you live from the inside out, that means you're in tune with yourself. You know what's going on because you honor
Exactly.
yourself enough to say, you know what, this is important for me in order to live
Mm-hmm.
a full, complete life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
And
yeah,
that's
so how do
vital.
you, yeah.
That,
So how do you do it? It's awareness. It's important to be aware. And I think
mm-hmm.
until we become uncomfortable with being, let me see, I want to make sure I'm using this word loosely and I'll probably unpack it. But until we
Okay.
become uncomfortable with being, until we become uncomfortable with being fake,
Mm.
then we won't
Mm-hmm.
move
Mm-hmm.
forward.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
let me
And
tell you,
until we
see,
take that mask
yeah,
off,
right,
the
right,
pretense
right.
mask that we got it all together, we'll continue to be on that rat wheel, going around and around and around and
Mm-hmm.
constantly bumping into these situations saying I want off, but not willing to do the work
Yeah.
to get off the wheel. And when you start
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that, how does stress and unresolved trauma show up and
Mm-hmm.
hinder your ability to reinvent yourself?
Yes, absolutely. It is a hindrance because you hold on to the story. I want to say this, or
Mm.
one would hold on to the story. The beautiful thing about the brain, even in that scenario we just talked about, what
Mm-hmm.
happens is we have the ACC, the anterior cingulate cortex,
Mm-hmm.
ACC. But when I learned about this, I was like, oh my goodness, it's the error detector. It's like the fire alarm that's going off in your head that's telling you something's not right about this. So a
Wow.
person may be living in a inauthentically, so they're not
Mm-hmm.
authentically living.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then at some point, it's just like, you know what, something just does not feel right. Something
Mm-hmm.
just isn't right. And so when that starts coming up, then you explore what's going on. Who told me these things about me? When did I develop this story about me? When was this story written for me? How long have I been living in this story? What happens if I make a decision to rewrite this story or write the next chapter of the story?
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
have the power to do that. We really, and
Yes.
that's a part of that invention, reinvention. What it's in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make a decision. We're faced with
Exactly.
choices every single day. And
It's
then we get to decide.
deciding. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
deciding that I no longer have to carry the baggage of somebody else's story.
Yes.
I don't have to be weighed down with somebody else's story, somebody else's interpretation, somebody else's transfer of their
Mm-hmm.
own dislike for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people, they're so busy trying to be liked,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be accepted, that they've lost what their identity is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when you're thinking about reinventing yourself, And you talked a little bit about this already, but how does establishing your own identity and belonging or your own self-value come into play?
Yeah. I think that's the foundation of
Mm-hmm,
rebuilding, because
mm-hmm,
remember, we're excavating, so we're digging stuff up. And even
mm-hmm,
before you can lay, so we're digging up that old stuff. And some things are good, some things, some things are useful, some things are not,
mm-hmm.
or they've served their purpose. And then just think about when you start rebuilding,
Yeah,
you have to have a
yeah.
solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to decide the truth of who you are.
Yeah,
You get to
exactly.
decide that. And I just think that you feel it. Like there's something we can,
Mm-hmm,
we can talk about, oh, well, I think this, we can look at it cognitively, but what are you
mm-hmm.
feeling? And that's what I was saying when you said, well, how do you, how do people know about, if they're living a certain type of way? How do you
Mm-hmm.
feel? How do you connect with your
Mm-hmm.
body? How do you connect with your nervous system? I believe that we know. People know.
I
Even when they come to
agree.
therapy, they know. People know.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
may be some blind spots, but
Or some unwillingness to see truth.
true. Yeah.
Some unwillingness to see truth, some unwillingness to see that even though you were told what your belief system was going to be, you were
Mm-hmm.
told who you were, when you become self-aware,
Mm-hmm.
you now tap into a different level of truth for you. Because
Yeah.
just because that belief system worked for mom and them, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily mean that it works for you.
Exactly.
What's your truth? And I think that invention and that transformation comes into a space of identifying what's my real story.
Exactly.
You talked about that, the hippocampus, the
Yeah.
library. How am I rewriting my story? How am I
Right.
moving in that truth? So, what's the biggest misconception about personal transformation?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I think the biggest transformation, I mean, the misconception I would say is that people think it's an external job.
Say that one more
Okay.
time.
Yeah. They think it's an external job. Somebody is doing something to you. Like nobody, no, they're not. You get to decide every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every single, I don't care what's going on around you, because there's
Right.
a lot of stuff that's going on around. You get to decide how you interact with your environment,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and not to even simplify it, but even there, even environmentally, even if it's we talk about this, what are they doing? Like they're growing lab meat in the lab and all this other kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that are going on in our environment. And then we get to decide how we engage with the environment. With,
Exactly.
I mean, we really do. It doesn't even
Mm-hmm.
matter. We can make choices no matter where you are socioeconomically. We can decide, okay, I'm going to spend my money on this.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be able to eat the most organic or whatever the case may
Right.
be. However, I can do these things. I can decide how I interact with my environment. So
Mm-hmm.
the misconception is it's on the outside. But
Yeah.
honey, it starts on the inside.
It's an internal work. I just did a TikTok live that was entitled, Do You Want to Be Whole or Happy? Because so
Woo.
many people get
Mm.
into that space.
It's
I just
good.
want happiness, but their
Mm-mm.
happiness is based on what other people can do in their lives. That's not you
Exactly.
being happy, that's you being a puppet. But
Girl,
when I'm
yes.
whole, when I'm in my authentic space, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
not relying on someone else telling me what my value is. And what I'm finding, and please weigh in on this, that people are hesitant to evolve because they are having fears of not
Mm-hmm.
being accepted and
Mm-hmm.
not being supported or validated.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts about that as a
Yeah.
hindrance to people becoming their truth and reinventing
Yes.
themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a deficit mindset, right? Instead of saying,
Mm-hmm.
instead of perspective is how you see things. That's a deficit mindset. That means that I'm missing something. Nobody's gonna like me. Whatever that internal story is. So what if a person got excited about the next chapter of their life? Like what? Just think about that. What if?
Absolutely.
Things
And that
happen.
energy that comes,
Yes.
we become what we think. We become what we focus on. We become
Yes.
the things that are becoming our fears or our freedom, right?
Yes.
And so, in your experience, what does a healed person that reinvented themselves look like?
Me
Yes.
and you.
Oof. Come through.
I'm owning it. Own it. Okay. But yes, it
Yes.
looks like, you know what? Let me just make it philosophical. It looks like a person looking in the mirror and saying,
Mm-hmm.
I love who I am. I'm in love with who I am. I
Mm-hmm.
like what I see. I
Mm-hmm.
am fearfully and wonderfully made. I have
Mm-hmm.
superpowers. I have a gift to give. I am grateful for every negative experience I've had in my life because it's made me
Yes.
better.
Maybe
That's what it
better.
looks like. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
maybe
it's so
better, maybe
exciting. Yeah.
bold.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Because the thing is when you recognize and understand that you don't have to stay where you once were,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
can move into your space of greater, you
Yes.
give yourself permission to transform. You give
Yes.
yourself permission to reinvent. And
Yeah.
when you think about it from a neurological standpoint, you regain personal control
Exactly. Yeah.
because you get to change the behavior to what it is that you want, and you're no longer stuck in that
Exactly.
space. Yeah, that's
Right.
huge.
Right. You're no longer stuck in that space and you get to rewrite the story. You get to write the next chapter of that story,
Mhm.
or you get to decide if you're going to take a story out. Sometimes we got to tear that story up. We got to burn the book. Okay, we
Burn
have to
the
burn the
book.
books. Okay, and so we
Mm-hmm.
get to rewrite that, and I think that's very empowering now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a decision every single day. And one thing that I
Mm-hmm.
love to do is we can look back where we came from. You can look at,
Yes.
man, I remember this time June 10th 2025, what was
Mm-hmm.
going on. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember that, so,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another thing. That's why it's important even to journal, to document
Absolutely.
the steps and where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it look like? It looks like what you want it to look like. You already have to see yourself being, doing, and having the good you desire, period.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I'm
Period.
not watching it like it's a movie. I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm living it. And we
Exactly.
have to, yeah. So definitely remember that. Yeah, nothing is impossible.
Well,
Nothing is
complete this
impossible.
sentence for me.
Okay.
Reinventing yourself requires what?
Hmm. Reinventing yourself requires, the first word that came to mind is patience.
I love that.
Okay.
It requires
Yeah.
patience. Tell me
Yes.
why patience.
Yes, it requires patience because when you're building something and you're reinventing and you're excavating, it's very tiring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, especially, for high achieving people, there's
Mm-hmm.
an internal conversation that says, well, you should already be doing this. You should do this. That should, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not kind.
At
That's not
all.
patient.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Mm-hmm.
do that for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I mean. Be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself. Know that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you're going to learn more and more about yourself every day. You're going to have some high days, some low days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Feel the feelings and let it flow, and be determined, because if you already see yourself doing what you want, living the life you want, being the person that you want to be, then you know that this too shall pass. I see the light. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit because you've given us so many gems on the importance of really reshaping your
Mhm.
thoughts and your perspective about yourself. Can you tell us about NeuroWave and
Mhm.
how not only mental health professionals can learn and utilize it, but how it can help when
Mhm.
everyone is understanding neuroscience concepts?
Yes, that is one of my biggest missions, is to
Okay.
help to train 1 million people on how to understand their brain and
Mm.
neuroscience, because it's going to help them through their lives. And I really have to shout out, like I said, my mentor, Shantae Javon Taylor, a Black woman neuroscientist, has been doing this for years. And
Mm-hmm.
she walks it, speaks it, breathes it. And for her to share that wealth of knowledge, it really inspired me to continue on that path as well. And I believe that the brain is a great equalizer. So, what does that mean?
Yes.
That means that when you understand your brain, when you understand that fight, flight, or freeze, when you understand those triggers, not to rest in them, but to understand, and all of your get an understanding. When you understand what's going on, you understand the story, you understand your habits that have been
Mm-hmm.
helpful to this point, until their ACC came in and said, something's wrong about this picture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so now you get to decide, you get to rewire, and you get to decide what you want to, how you want to live. So I just think that when we understand our brain, we
Mm-hmm.
understand how we interact with our environment, how we interact with other people, even with what's going on in the United States of America to this day. The thing
Yeah.
is, I
Yeah.
look at it, and it's I see what's going on, and I understand that it's not going on. It's not from a place of boss and leadership, that prefrontal
Mm-hmm.
cortex.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a place of threat. It's from the amygdala.
Yes.
It's from that ego,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so, and
Absolutely.
then the sad part about it too, let me just add this as well. When we talk about mindset, what are you feeding yourself? What are you watching? What are you doing? So when we start replaying the same mess over and over, we already know what's up.
Oh
We're
yeah.
playing it over and over and over and over and over again. So neurons that fire together, wire together. So if that's what I'm seeing, then that's what I'm manifesting. That's what's coming out. So you have to be mindful of, what's going on, where you are with those things, and you don't have to be a professional. I mean, it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so honored that I get to teach other mental health professionals about neuroscience and how to use it
Yeah.
within their therapeutic interventions or practice.
Mm-hmm.
But regular people, I teach my
Yeah.
kids this every
Mm-hmm.
time I have the opportunity to talk. Well, they're adult children, but they know, so they can speak the language. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
so that's important. And then
Empowering
listen,
minds. Mm-hmm.
empowering minds. And then even when you're at a place,
Mm-hmm.
you get to decide. You have a choice. You're going to go off and fight from a ground cluttered place, or are you going to just say, oh, okay, thank you for sharing that information? Are you going to
Mm-hmm.
get into that higher level brain?
The
Are you
higher
going to
awareness.
recognize, yeah, are you recognizing that when you talk to someone else, that you may be talking to their threat brain, their
Mm-hmm.
their ego? And why would I have a fight with somebody, an ego to ego fight? Like, why?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly. And that's the thing that's important and valuable to understand. So let me ask you this question. How do you resonate with the idea of being authentically peculiar?
Hmm. How do I resonate with the idea of being authentically peculiar?
Mm-hmm.
I love that, because I've always felt different. So when I think
Mm.
about myself as being peculiar, I know that there's, out of all of the 8 billion people on the face of this planet, there's nobody else like me. Okay, clock it.
That's it. That is it.
Yes.
When you recognize that it's only me, it's
Yeah.
only one me. Somebody else may have the
Yes.
name, somebody else may
Yes.
have tapped into a portion of the vision, but it's
Yeah.
just one of me. I
Yeah.
love that. So tell the
Yeah.
audience how. they can follow you, how they connect with you, so that you can do some brain mapping with them and
Yes.
some neurological therapy with them.
Yes, wonderful. Well, on all of the social media platforms, I am Felice Martin, LPC. And then on my website is BHAcounseling.com. That's B as in boy, H as in house, A as in apple, counseling.com. You can find information there. In addition to that, I have started a behavioral health technology company, and that's for clinicians who are interested in utilizing AI ethically within their practice, and that is behavioralhealthsystemsai.com. So I'm
Yay! I didn't know
excited.
about that. You just threw that right on in there. Okay, all right.
Yes,
So for
yes,
all the people that's asking me and they say, Marcia, you use AI a lot and I see the things that you put together, I'm going to be sending them your way so that they can be formally trained in the use of AI because AI isn't going anywhere.
exactly.
Felice, as always, thank you, thank you, thank you for such a transparent and important conversation on reinventing yourself and understanding the scope of how your brain comes into play. Thank you for always being willing to be a guest on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. Go out. Find Felice on all social media outlets on Felice Martin, LPC. Follow, interact with her. She does these drop-in jewels and gems. If you want to know more about the neurological science behind psychology and behavior, she is the guru. She is the one that you want to tap into. So go out there, ask her questions. She loves, loves, loves teaching on the brain and how it shows up. And until next time on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia, remember, go out to marciablaine.com. You'll get all the updates of what's going on with us. Follow the podcast, share the podcast so that your friends know where it is. And in all your getting and doing, always remember to be authentically peculiar. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for sharing time and space with us today on Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. Don't forget to like, comment, and share the podcast with everyone that you know. In addition, go out and support each of the guests and their own social platforms. Buy their products, leave them a comment. We'll see you on the next episode of Authentically Peculiar with Marcia.